the end of the last point, which was, it says resign from the Postal Service. Out loud, please.
Where again, please?
Second line down says based on these findings.
Okay.
Read from there and end at the last bullet point, resign from the Postal Service. That'll be the last part. Please read that.
Based on these findings, the following options available to you if you meet the requisite eligibility requirement. Return to full duty after ongoing any necessary evaluations and initiating the use of required medication and follow-up care. It will be necessary to provide acceptable documentation to substantiate your fitness for duty and your ability to perform normal duties in your current position. Apply for disability retirement if you meet the requirements concerning the length of service. Apply for optional retirement if you meet the requirements for age and length of service. Resign from the post office.
So one of his options was to basically quit, correct?
Yes.
Is that the option you gave him?
Again, it was a form letter that I followed.
Did you give him that option on September 30th,
Yes, I did.
2011? Okay. A day after he filed? Or his EEO was accepted for investigation formally?
I guess.
Do you know filing an EEO is a protected activity?
Yes.
Okay. Who told you that?
Way back in the military. Couldn't tell you.
Did you ever generate any emails or respond to any emails concerning Mr. Tosage's CA2's workman's comp claims?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Did you ever respond to, generate any emails concerning Mr. Tosage's EEO activity?
No.
Okay.
Not that I recall.
Okay. We'll go to reasonable. Went over this one, right? We're on, what page are you on? 0097?
97.
Okay. In this letter, you told Mr. Tostage to report for an investigative interview, correct?
Yes.
Who conducted that investigative interview?
Mr. Don Fields, Greg,
Who directed him to do that?
myself,
You directed another supervisor to do that? Why?
because I was out of town.
Okay. Did Mr. Johnson know this? Your manager?
I'm sure he did.
Sure. Did you tell him?
That an II was going to be performed?
Yes.
Yes.
What did he say?
Don't recall.
Did Mr. Tostage ever respond to you in reference to this? Respond to this letter you sent him?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
I believe he requested accommodations.
Did you grant them?
They were granted
They were. By who?
by the supervisor performing the II.
What did he do?
He made sure copies of the questions were provided.
Okay. When did you return back from school? In October? How long were you gone for?
I believe I was going for a week.
A week. So this was sent out on the 30th. You were gone for a week. October 7th you returned? October 8th?
I can't recall.
Okay. You knew you were going to school, correct?
No, it was short notice.
When were you notified?
Again, I can't recall.
Okay. So you send this letter to Mr. Tostage on September 30th, 2011. When do you go to school? October 1st? The next day?
I can't recall.
You gave Mr. Tosted how many days after you wrote this letter to show up for an investigative interview?
I believe it was a week and a half, 2 weeks, but
2 weeks. Okay. Let me read to you. The second full paragraph, really the third if you count the one line. You are hereby instructed to telephone me immediately upon your receipt of this letter at 813-877-0832 between the hours of 0700 and 1500. If no answer, leave a message. Furthermore, you are hereby instructed to report for investigative interview at 10 a.m. on October 6, 2011 in the second floor maintenance conference room. 6 days notice you gave him, and you were going away to school? Is that correct?
that is correct.
Why'd you do that?
I can't recall.
All right. You did return before October 13th, though, correct, from school?
I'd have to see the documentation,
What documentation do you want to see?
the documentation of my schooling.
You said you went away for a week. You left on October 1st. Let's go with October 8th. Were you back by then?
Again, I can't recall.
Okay. If you were going to school, why'd you schedule Mr. Tosich for an investigative interview on October 6th?
Well, since he was in an AWOL status, I wanted to clear up this matter quickly.
You were concerned.
I was.
Okay. Upon your return from school, were you concerned about Mr. Tosich's AWOL?
Yes.
Okay. What did you do upon your return from school about Mr. Tosich's AWOL?
Reviewed the information that was gathered on the interview.
Before October 13th, correct?
Again, I can't recall.
You went away for 7 days for school, correct?
I can't recall the number of days.
You did state you went away for a week. A week is 7 days, correct?
I can't recall the exact time span.
So you reviewed these documents. Who'd you review them with?
Myself and Mr. Fields.
Mr. Fields. What'd you go over?
His responses.
What was his responses?
I'd have to review the documents again.
Okay. I'm going to give you attachment 2 to response to complainant's production of documents. Tell me what it is, please.
Request for disciplinary action.
You saw that with Mr. Fields, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The highlighted area. Please read that out loud.
Include all documentation supporting charge, proof list.
Okay. What documents are listed?
Attendance-related charge, completed 3971s, 3972s, copies required.
Is that an example, or is that what was listed? Would I be correct to say nothing's listed there?
It looks like an example.
Okay. There's nothing listed as proof. Am I correct?
This seems to be an example. That is correct.
Okay. What documents did you review with Mr. Fields then?
The investigation.
The investigation. But there's nothing listed.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. This. Okay. Again, I'm going to refer to attachment 6, one of the documents, to response to complainant's request for production of documents. Again, please tell me what that is.
This is the key indicated report.
Okay, that is for?
Comments for absences.
Is there any notations in there for May 16th, a doctor's note?
No.
May 17th?
No.
May 10th?
No.
Why not?
I failed to list them.
On there, did you list Mr. Tosh's going to the dentist with his daughter anywhere?
I do not see it.
Okay. Okay. 1/23/2011, what was the input for?
Employee had a scheduled doctor's appointment. Documentation was brought in for appointment, and when he returned to work.
You made those notes, correct?
Yes.
That was important, right?
Yes.
Okay. When he handed in the paperwork, the medical documentation concerning his hearing loss, nothing's documented there. Why?
I can't answer that.
There's nothing listed on here about when he got sent home either in May of 2011, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Why wasn't that listed? Is it coincidence?
Coincidence of what?
Nothing being listed from after May 4th to July 14th, 2011.
No, there's no coincidence involved.
If he handed you a note, what would you do with that note? A doctor's note?
Forwarded to the medical unit.
Forward to medical unit. Nothing else?
Right. Normally I would enter it into the key indicator report.
Okay. Go to page 00250, please, of the ROI.
Got it?
Who signed for that note received from employee on 5411?
I did.
What'd you do with that note?
Forwarded that to medical unit.
Of course, you made notes in this employee key indicators report, correct?
I don't recall. Did I?
You tell me. Are there any inputs for this note you received on 5411?
No.
Okay. What'd you do with the note?
Forwarded to the medical unit.
Okay. Did you use this note to send Mr. Tostrich home on 5/10/2011?
No, I believe I sent him home on 5/5, but I can't be sure.
Okay, you signed for a CA2 on 5/9/2011, correct? Got it.
Let's restate the question.
Can you repeat?
Okay. You signed this doctor's note, for this doctor's note from the employee on 5/4/11, correct?
That is correct.
You sent the employee home on 5/10/2011, correct?
That is correct.
For that doctor's note.
That is
Handed in,
correct.
received to you on 5/4/11. You let him work from 5/4 to the end of his shift on 5/10 at 14:40, correct? 2011?
I believe so.
Okay. Why?
Didn't know better. I should have sent him home.
How
right
did you
then.
know better on 5/10?
I must have talked to someone about it.
Who'd you talk to?
Can't recall.
Did you talk to Mr. Johnson?
It's a possibility. He's my boss.
Okay. Who else would you talk to about this?
The medical unit.
What did the medical unit say?
I can't recall.
You talk to all these people, you send him home and you can't recall anything, is that correct?
That is correct.
Which one's that?
Oh, isn't that why you're talking about norms? That's the one we missed it.
Do you document all these absences on ERMs?
That's where the key indicator reports is documented on.
Why do you do that?
To inform other supervisors and management of why an employee is absent.
How about handing in medical documentation with restrictions? Would that be included in that?
No, medical documentation goes to the medical unit.
Okay. What medical notes?
Medical notes go to the medical unit,
Would you make notes about receiving them here too?
yes.
Okay. So medical notes with restrictions, you wouldn't make notations here?
No, I should have.
Okay. Mr. Tosich had choice leave from 11/23 for 40 hours forward. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. Did you pay him annual leave?
I believe so,
Why?
because he had choice leave.
Was he out on IOD?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Did the system kick anything out saying that there was a conflict here with being IOD and having annual?
No,
Was there an email sent to you concerning choice leave for this period of time? By anybody?
I don't recall.
Did Mr. Tasha send you an email?
Again, I don't recall.
Okay, does ERMS automatically send system-generated emails to you saying there's a conflict?
No,
So it just basically went through.
yes.
When you reviewed your people you supervise, you didn't notice the annual leave in there?
I did,
And you just let it go through?
yes,
Why?
because they had choice annual leave.
But he was out IOD, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Prior to October 1st, 2011, did you at any time refer Mr. Tosh's name to the DRAC committee?
No,
Did you ever refer him to any management official for accommodations to accommodate him concerning his restrictions?
no.
Okay. When did you?
I never did.
Who did?
Mr. Greg Fields and Conrad Johnson, I believe.
What'd they do?
I believe Mr. Johnson called the DRAC committee and put him in touch with him.
What happened from there?
DRAC committee worked it for a while.
They did what for a while?
They worked the case.
What'd they do in working the case?
I couldn't tell you.
Were you ever contacted by the DRAC committee?
Yes.
What'd they say to you?
They wanted to know if we had reasonable accommodations for Mr. Tosich.
What'd you say?
I told them that if they were willing to take the responsibility for Mr. Tosich falling down, hurting himself or hurting others, I had work.
Why'd you make that statement?
Because the DRAC committee informed us that he felt faint in Walmart, right, and almost passed out.
Who told you that?
The DRAC committee.
Who on the DRAC committee?
I don't have a name.
So somebody just called you up and said they're part of the DRAC committee and started asking you questions?
I assume so.
Assume so. Did you accommodate Mr. Toshich when the person on the DRAC committee contacted you?
If they were willing to take the responsibility.
What did the DRAC committee end up doing?
I have no idea. I haven't heard back from them.
Since when?
I don't have it documented. It had to be somewhere in January, I believe, was the last time.
January. The
I
DRAC
can't-
committee met in January of 2000, what year?
2012, I think. I can't recall.
a route for tax. Do you know what I'm referring to?
Yes, I do.
It's normally 4 hours, correct?
That is incorrect.
Was it ever 4 hours?
Yes, it was.
When?
Uh, 3/4 of 2011.
3/4. Let's go with, would you say 9 months of 2011? Up until September of 2011?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I'd have to look at when I changed.
3/4 of 2011,
Yeah.
3 times 4,
I
12.
I'd have to verify when I changed it.
You changed it.
Yes,
What'd you change it from?
from 4 hours.
Why?
Right. Because MMO dictated the time.
When did the MMO change?
2008.
What was it then?
Before 2008?
No. You said it changed in 2008. What was it then? It changed from to what? From? It changed from to.
Again, I reviewed the documents, the current documents for tax. The time requirement from 2008 has reduced. We were operating under a different set of rules.
When did you change it? In 2011? I forgot. Sorry.
Somewhere within the first 9 months.
First 9 months now. First it was 3/4 of 2011. So I'm thinking October.
I can't confirm.
Okay. Who did the routes for tax in January of 2011
Mr. Tossage was one of the primaries.
when he was scheduled to work, correct?
That is correct.
Is he the senior ET, electronic technician?
He is an ET has the most seniority, yes.
So would you consider him the senior ET?
He is a ET with the senior seniority.
He did that job for 4 hours until 3/4 of the way through 2011, and you changed it to 2 hours, correct?
That is correct.
When was the last date Mr. Tossage was at work?
I believe that was sometime in June.
What made you review the tax route?
I try to review all the MMOs, all the routes.
What other routes did you change in the Tampa P and DC on your tour under your supervision?
I've changed MOPE routes. MOPE, M-O-P-E.
How about ET-wise? Routes for ETs. Did you change any?
Not that I can recall.
Okay, so just Mr. Tossage's route for tax was cut from 4 hours to 2 hours that he normally done when he was scheduled, correct?
No, my route for tax was cut.
Your route for tax was cut. You perform this route too?
I supervise this.
Okay. Did you sign a 270-80, a request for disciplinary action for the Mr. Tossage to receive a letter of warning charging him AWOL?
I don't believe so.
Okay, who did?
I believe that was Mr. Fields.
You're Mr. Tossage's immediate supervisor, correct?
I wasn't available at the time.
You weren't in the building on 10/13, you sure of that? 2011?
No, I'm not sure of it.
But you reviewed the documents prior to Mr. Fields signing the 270-80 on 10/13/2011, correct?
I believe so, but I can't recall.
Okay, yep. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to ask you some questions without referring to that. You segregate all your emails concerning Mr. Tossage's EEO, workman's comp claims, anything pertaining to this EEO, correct?
To the best of my ability, yes.
Okay. If there's anything that you don't have, are you willing to contact the the local IT department and have them retrieve them.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. Will you do that? To see if there's anything out there with Mr. Tosh's EEO activity, anything, his
I can do that.
workman's
Yeah.
comp? and-
I will make the same representation to you that I did before. We will contact the corporate IT and have them do a search of all the servers.
Okay.
And it'll probably come to me in a DVD form, which I will copy and provide to you guys. May
Okay.
take a couple of weeks or more. I'm not sure how fast they work.
Yeah. October 1st of 2011, you went out to school in Oklahoma?
To Oklahoma,
Who sent you there?
the Postal Service.
Did you get a letter from anybody telling you to go to school then?
I'm sure I did.
Who normally sends you to school?
Mr. Johnson would be the person to allow me to go.
So did Mr. Johnson let you go to this school on October 1st?
Yes, he did.
Okay. What was the school for?
It was for MSS, RMSS.
All right, I'm going to suspend this deposition with Mr. Owensby at this time. Any questions from you?
Yes, I do have one question.
Okay.
When did you say that you first became supervisor in maintenance?
January 1st, 2011.
And you testified earlier about the situation with AWOL, and there were a lot of dates that you couldn't remember. Can you explain in your own?
I object. This is not your deposition. I'm paying for this. I don't agree to pay for this unless you want to split the cost with me.
I can ask questions on cross after you finish your deposition,
Okay.
yes.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
continue.
I just have one question
Okay.
anyway. Just can you explain in your own words what happened with the AWOL situation and why it happened and why it was changed?
The AWOL was put down on the scheduling because no other leave option was available since LWOP was disapproved. That was an error on my part. We had a grievance that came about due to this. And I subsequently settled that grievance and withdrew the letter of warning.
Okay, and did you change the leave designation from AWOL to something else?
Yes.
What was the leave designation changed to?
Again, I'd have to review this 3972 to verify that.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Nothing further.
What point did you realize it was a mistake, the AWOL charge, Mr. Owensby?
When I heard people talking about it on the working floor.
Was it 36 days later from the issuance of the letter of warning?
No, it was the same, probably a day or two after it was posted on the wall.
So there was posted schedules of Mr. Tosh's being shown AWOL on the
Yes,
wall
there
for
was.
public view, am I correct?
Yes, there was.